You're the kind of person that looks at your cash flow situation and go, fuck, cash flow sucks, man. I'm not going to make, payroll or whatever it is. If you stop yourself, which is another concept in a book that I talk about, just stop and go, okay, I know this sucks and that's my normal reaction, but what if I were to look at it in a slightly different way? What if I were to look at this as some kind of opportunity? Is it an opportunity? Absolutely not. But what if I frame it in a different way and say, you know what? This cash flow situation is forcing me to do A, B, and C. And then boom, all of a sudden, by just shifting it a little bit, you've offered yourself potential to solve the problem.
Hi there, guys. Thank you once again for joining the Matt Brown Show, and thank you for pushing play. Now, today we are joined by Nir Bashan. He is the author of The Creator Mindset, 92 Tools to Unlock the Secrets to Innovation, Growth, and Sustainability. Now, just about every book on creativity is bullshit. Well, at least that's according to Nir. And he has the view that they're filled with lofty theoretics and complexity about why you should be creative, and that they lack sound, practical tools about how to become more creative. And that's where his book, The Creator Mindset, comes to the table. Now, in this episode, we've spoken a lot about mindset and the role of creativity in building the things that matter to your customers and ultimately the world. But how do you become creative? And what exactly is the creator mindset? How does it really contribute to sustainability, innovation, and growth? And we get into all of that on this episode of The Matt Brown Show, powered by SMERocketfuel.com. In this episode, guys, things to pay attention to is this idea of power and the power of creativity to improve profitability, increase sales, and ultimately the success of your business. And he shares some amazing practical examples. We also talk about the role of humor, empathy, and courage in the process of building creative products and services that matter to your customers. He shares an amazing story about Ray Kroc, the founder, quote unquote, of McDonald's, and he calls this the victory story. We talk about perspective and shifting perspective when you are stuck inside the bottle and can't read the label. Now, Nir has spent almost the last 2 decades working on a formula to codify creativity, and you are going to get it right here today on this episode of The Matt Brown Show. We also talk about, this is a funny one, but practically how do you pitch your stuff on LinkedIn's message window. So we all get pitched every day, or at least I do, so does Nir, and many of the pitches suck. And he uses me, to be honest, as a very fun conduit to getting his point of view across around how to be creative around pitching your business on LinkedIn's messaging channel, and what he has learned from working on numerous albums, movies, and ads with famous actors and musicians, ranging from Rod Stewart to Woody Harrelson. And don't forget, guys, if you haven't yet signed up for SMERocketfuel.com, you can do that for free today. We have over 1,000 users now. It's just a really encouraging number, and that's thanks to all of you who care about our mission, which is to democratize access for you as a SME and founder, owner, entrepreneur to capital, talent, and new markets. And you can join the community today, right now, for free at SMERocketfuel.com. Why don't you introduce yourself on the welcome wall and say, how's it? I'd love to meet you. So without further ado, into Nir Bashan. Today we are joined all the way from the bright lights of Orlando by Nir Bashan. He is the author of The Creator Mindset. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, likewise. So how's things going over there?
Good. Things are good. Busy. There's a lot of shows coming back to in person, which is wonderful. And I'm excited to get out and start seeing people again and spreading the message of creativity at work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you do a lot of public speaking, right? And yeah, it's good. I've had a few guests on the show who basically are professional speakers. You can obviously connect the dots. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy what's been happening in the professional speaking circuit. So it's super exciting to see everything kind of open up again. But Nir, we're going to get into your book here. I'm going to bring it up on screen for everybody. So this is the book. It's The Creator Mindset, 92 Tools to Unlock the Secrets to Innovation, Growth, and Sustainability. Innovation, growth, and sustainability kind of being key to all of us as founder entrepreneurs. So Nir, so much to get into today. Super excited about it. Why don't you kick us off though? What's your elevator pitch? What do we need to know?
So we need to know that unless we are being creative at work today, we are missing out on a huge advantage in any marketplace, right? It could be in your career, it could be in sales, it could be in whatever it is that you do. If we're not being creative, we are very quickly going to become irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the premise for your book? I mean, where did the spark come from to write a book like this?
So I've been in different fields my whole life, from really creative fields like music and film, all the way to not creative fields like, having a furniture refinishing business and different entrepreneurial businesses. Some have done really well, some have done horribly, right? As your listeners might guess in their own businesses. And I've been doing it for a long time, and I started noticing that people I've admired, Matt, have done really well. Have always been creative, and the people that are always keeping up with the changes and new trends and are able to be flexible constantly, are able to turn COVID into an advantage. All these people are super creative. And that got me interested in starting to write down what I've noticed were patterns of successful people and patterns of successful things in my business that would lend itself to creativity. And that's kind of how it happened. It took, I don't know, 25 years to write down the book from scraps of paper that I've had lying around forever. And that's how the book came to be.
Awesome. So you're obviously a world-renowned creativity expert. Is there such a thing as a non-creative person? And what would you say to someone who's like, I'm not creative?
So I get it all the time, as you can imagine, and creativity is something we were all born with. So the way I look at it is about 50 or 60,000 years ago, there was a woman named Harriet, and she lived in a cave. And at those times, you would live till, I don't know, 25 and be like a great grandma. 25 was like, wow, you're old, right?
Yeah.
And so she was being attacked by a beast that was far stronger than her, and in every way, shape, and form, more physical, fangs, and they would eat us alive, they would eat early people. And so one day it was raining, it was a dark and stormy night, right? And it was raining, and her cave was flooding, and she saw a stick that was nothing but a stick to help her get up the hill. She saw a little berry picker, like a sharp arrowhead that was nothing but, something to help her pick berries. And she put the two together and was able to fight off the beast. And she was the world's first creative person. And for me, that DNA that she instilled in us of creativity is a survival tool that is still with us and still relevant today. And what we need to do is rekindle that sense of creativity, rekindle that sense of wonder that we've all had as children. I mean, we all had it. And then somewhere along the way, it gets lost, whether it's school or whatever it is, it gets lost along the way. So we need to re-find it, reharness it, and use it at work today.
So Nir, how do you characterize this idea of the creator mindset? Because on this show, we've spoken ad nauseum about the power of mindset, and the greatest predictor of future success is an entrepreneur, man or woman's ability to persevere. And for me, that's all a mindset thing. It's like, I don't care how hard it gets, I'm going through this, and the only way out is through. So we've covered that, but I'd love you to come at this from a different angle. How do you characterize this idea of the creator mindset?
So the creator mindset is really a positivity mindset that allows creativity to solve problems that nothing else can solve. We've overdeveloped the analytical part of the mind, and we've underdeveloped the creative part of the mind. And what we end up having is businesses that stall out. We have, a couple of good ideas that start a business and ramp it up, and then they stall out. And so we need to really harness positivity, especially in our mindset, and understand that it's a get rich slow program. I mean, listen, I'm on social, and I'm sure you are too. And I get a lot of people who write to me, no, Nir, you're glorifying the grind, right? Don't glorify the grind. But I don't know, Matt, is there another way? If there isn't, please let me know, because I want to get rich by next Tuesday. That would be awesome. Right? Like, tell me what to do. I'll do it. buy some real estate and invest in this or invest in that and be rich by Tuesday, I'm in. Dude, I'm totally in. Like, let's go. But I haven't found that to be existent anywhere in the world. I find that the things that really do work are slow, deliberate, put one foot in front of the other, gain a little bit of success, learn from your mistakes, be incredibly creative in the choices that you make, and you end up doing well. But it ain't no get rich quick scheme. It's not going to happen tomorrow. This is a lifelong pursuit of getting better at things and viewing them positively.
Yeah, it's an important thing. It's this idea of, it takes 15 years to make a quick buck. So I put this tweet out on Twitter, and I was like, it's not about building a business fast. It's about building something that can stand the test of time. And if you adopt that approach, you will make better decisions. And the reality, to your point, is like, if you're going to build or move a mountain, you start by moving small stones. And that is what you're talking about, which is like, you have to do the work every single day. You have to move the stones every single day, because if you don't, you just don't move the mountain. And this is why your book's so important. And I love your idea about, you must try and stay positive. My dad said something to me, really, just to share a personal story. I said to him, I had him on the podcast, which I don't know, do you have your own show, just out of interest?
No, just have the book and that's pretty much it.
No, that's all good. So podcasting sucks. Don't do it. But I said to him, what was the greatest lesson your father ever taught you? And he said, never lose your sense of humor, no matter how bad it gets. Like, just laugh at it. It's like pain's temporary, glory's forever, sort of thing, And that, I was like, when I first heard that, I was like, what? Just don't lose your sense of humor. And then now when things get tough, because I'm going through a tough time personally, I think many of us are, and I think about that and I reflect on that and I go, you know what, actually staying positive is really, really important.
Yeah, I talk a lot about the book, in the book, about humor, empathy, and courage being the three cornerstones of creativity. And Matt, I get a lot of shit for it, man. I get emails from around the world like, really, humor is just childish, whatever. And people are like, courage comes after, 3 or 4 successes. And what if you don't have success? You're not going to have courage. Like, people have a lot of issues with it. And I think it's awesome, because I love hearing from people, right? I love it when people send emails and go, oh, this is crap, or this is great, and I love it. The thing is, humor is an incredibly important tool. And what viewing things as a humorous way allows you to do is, one, it lets off steam, right? We need that valve to let off the steam of everything that happens every day. We are far too laser focused on the day-to-day, and we're so in our own element. When we allow humor to creep in, we allow things to be looked at in a different way. Now, I'm reading an amazing book called Forgetting by Dr. Small. I forgot his first name, but basically he talks about how humor is literally an anatomical thing in your brain, right? The way that the growth of your dendritic spines come together are, related to whether or not you see a experience as positive or negative. And when you see an experience as positive, these things tend to be stronger connections and stronger, they take hold in a stronger way. And humor is a way to allow something to not affect you negatively. Turns out that the brain is far better at harnessing negativity, remembering that, because those are the things that kept us alive, right? Those negative things. Don't eat that yellow, don't drink the yellow water, right? So, because you want to stay alive. Therefore, I think that, it's an anatomical thing that helps us become better people and better problem solvers. So I think your dad was spot on. Humor is incredibly important.
Yeah, 100%. So maybe your book also talks to this idea around, how to use creativity to improve profitability, increase sales, and things like that. I love to draw on real world examples for our audience, because it obviously gets them to truly get their head around, okay, so create a mindset, got to be positive. I got that. So practically now, how do I implement something like this? Could you maybe share 1 or 2 real world examples of how creativity can, improve profits, increase sales, because obviously that's kind of key for all of us as founder entrepreneurs.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that I like the most that people can implement today out of the book, one of the 92 tools is what I call the little victories, right? The little victory. There was a ice cream machine salesman many years ago, and he tried to sell a bunch of ice cream machines, right? That was his business. So he got together, he looked at the business, looked at inventory and all this stuff, and it's like, volume. I'm going to sell a volume, which is an analytical construct. I'm going to sell a lot of these machines. And so, like any business that's built on analytics only, he did well for a while, but then he flattened out, right? So he started to look for other markets, other customers. And, it was going okay. You'd sell a machine here, a machine there, but it wasn't growing. And so one day he noticed that there was a restaurant in Southern California that kept ordering machines over and over, ice cream, milkshake machines, that kind of thing. And he thought to himself, you know what? I'm going to have a bit of a creative idea. I'm going to go down there and check it out, see what's going on. Now, all the analytics point to not doing that, right? There's travel involved in, meals and hotels and all this stuff you got to pay for, and then the rental car, and, you're just losing money at that point, right? So the analytics are, well, why would you ever go down there? Just, set up a meeting and get on the phone or whatever it is. But he said, no, I'm going to go. I want to see with my own eyes why these machines are selling so well. So he went down there and went to the restaurant, saw a line around the corner. 45 minutes long, waited in line, got to the front of the line, and had the best cheeseburger he'd had in his entire life, right? The best cheeseburger. And the guy's name was Ray Kroc, and that restaurant was McDonald's. So I ask your listeners, what in your business are you doing that's achieving these little victories that you're steamrolling past because you're always on your 3-year or your 5-year, and you're not paying attention to those little things that happen along the way? Every day you have something that is a blessing in your business, some little thing that happens, or even in your career, every single day. If we pay attention to those things, Matt, we're able to capitalize on the little victories, and those little victories might take you somewhere different than where you thought. I work with businesses all the time, and they, some people say to me, Nir, how do I implement this? I say, okay, every day, write down 5 or 6 things that have happened that have been positive. People are like, I can barely have one. Okay, fine. Write down one thing that happened in your business that's positive. I don't care what it is, but you got to write it down. And then put that notepad or whatever somewhere, or a whiteboard. And at the end of the week, look at what you've written down. If it's 5 things, 6 things, whatever, that have been positive for you in your business, that is creativity taking hold. That 5 or 6 things that are on your list are exactly what it is that you need to be focusing on more and building on. Not the, battling the lawyers to get the MSA crafted, and not all the other crap that we have to do every day. It is those things that have gone well for you that need further exploration. When you further explore those things that have done well for you, you invite creativity into your life.
It's so interesting, right? There's this idea on the show that it's like, as entrepreneurs, when you in the struggle, to your point made earlier, it's the idea is that you're kind of stuck inside the bottle, so you can't really read the label of like what's going on. And I think it's a case of being honest with yourself, also in many cases, around. If you don't like the way something looks, then change it. And if you can't change it, change the way you think about it. And much of what you've said is really about perspective, right? And like that Ray Kroc story I love that documentary. Sorry, it's not even a documentary, but the film on Netflix. I highly recommend everybody watch that, because that was all about this idea of perspective, where you had these two these two founders. He was obviously like a salesman for milkshake machines or something, and then he met these guys with a great product, but they didn't have his perspective, and that was the difference. I'd love to ask you, like, practically, how does one unlock new perspectives on something?
It really is about allowing yourself to view a problem through a lens that you've never done before. Because creativity started with Harriet, and it is embedded into our survival DNA. The way that you express creativity, the way that I do it, the way that the next person does it is going to be totally different. So every expression of creativity is completely different. No two companies, no two people can ever execute creativity in the same way. So when you ask about how to shift perspective, it's really an individual thing, right? And you need to find out what it is that works for you. I have a few methods that help. One of them is to write stuff down, right? So when you write stuff down, you activate a different part of your mind, and you activate a part of your mind that takes it from the analytical and eases it into a more creative way to look at it. So when you write stuff down, you offer the opportunity to solve things in a different way. It's amazing. Just try it. Another thing that I really like is to reframe the question that you're asking. I worked with what were they? They were like a supply, like a B2B supply business, and they had a warehouse full of crap that they couldn't move. And one day somebody kind of went there and looked at all the crap and said, "Oh, I wish a monster would eat all this stuff up," which is humorous. And then somebody said, "Well, there's a new storage place that opened up, $1 called Monster Storage, $1 for the first month." And, a bunch of ideas started to roll because somebody looked at it funny. And what ended up happening is they moved all this merchandise there, they discounted it, and they were able to, maybe not do incredibly well on the merchandise, but they were able to get to the next level. They were able to move this stuff forward. They were able to open a new door only because somebody looked at it differently than the way that they would normally look at it. So I think that when you are able to shift perspectives, you are able to write things down, you are able to ask things in a different way and look at things like you would never look at it. Most people would say, there's extra merch, that sucks. And when you shift it to that, when you shift it to negative, when you shift it to, oh, this is horrible, you allow zero chances, Matt, of problem solving in a creative way. Negativity breeds more negativity, and it doesn't allow you to solve problems. So if you understand that you're that kind of person, which is cool, dude, I completely understand. You're the kind of person that looks at your cash flow situation and go, fuck, cash flow sucks, man. I'm not going to make, payroll or whatever it is. If you stop yourself, which is another concept in a book that I talk about, just stop and go, okay, I know this sucks, and that's my normal reaction. But what if I were to look at it in a slightly different way? What if I were to look at this as some kind of opportunity? Is it an opportunity? Absolutely not. But what if I frame it in a different way and say, you know what? This cash flow situation is forcing me to do A, B, and C. And then boom, all of a sudden, by just shifting it a little bit, you've offered yourself potential to solve the problem. How you do it is really up to you. Everybody will do it differently.
Where does your idea of just stop come from? Because it sounds similar to the idea of, you define yourself by what you say no to in more cases than you do by saying yes to something. And you can measure, I do this because I get very excited about new things. So I'm an addict. So I'm an addict to new ideas. So I'm always like, come team, let's go do this. And then I have to check myself. And I think about, well, if I had done that thing, imagine how much time that would have sucked and how much money that would have sucked. And if it sucked out of the business or working capital.
Right.
So it's a very powerful thought that. So I want to spend just a few minutes there with you. Where does that idea come from? Just saying stop, because it's a powerful one, because especially when you're a founder and you're doing everything, right? So sales, hiring, firing, marketing, client service, project management, financials. So I'm just on the go all the time. I don't have time to stop. So I'm quite interested to unpack that with you for our audience. Where does it come from? Walk us through it.
So it comes from having made, every mistake in the book. I'm not a professor. I'm not like a, super smart person. There's far smarter people on earth than me. But what I think I have the advantage is that I've made so many damn mistakes. And instead of just steamrolling past and hiding them and running, which is what most people do, I've stopped and looked at that mistake and said, okay, why did I make it? What do I learn from it? And just that ability to do that has made me incredibly successful. And it's something that I think can make your listeners incredibly successful. What it is when we're running all the time, we spend so much time working in the business instead of on it. And what that enables us to do is, get that product out, get the service out. I'm as guilty of it as anyone. I mean, I do it all the time. I'm so in the weeds, get the contract out, make sure everybody's happy, ship the book, don't ship the books, the whole thing, right? And what really needs to happen is a timeout moment where you sit and you look and you think, is this really the right thing to do? Is this where I want to go? So many people don't do that. And when you don't do that, you're cheating yourself of opportunities to solve problems in a way that you have never before. So I say to your listeners, stop cheating yourself from solving problems and stop once in a while, stop email, stop, phone calls and texts and everything, and take some time, schedule some time to work on the business. It's really that simple. If you don't schedule time for yourself, somebody else will schedule it for you, whether it's your clients, your, family, whether it's your, suppliers. It doesn't really matter who it is, but you need to take time out. I talk about digital detox in the book to allow yourself some time away from devices so that you can actually think. And so the concept of stop really comes from me not stopping in my own businesses and running them into the ground. I've done it countless times on different businesses. And now I build in time into my schedule today to stop and go, okay, here's half a day. What do I want to talk about at the next lecture? What do I want to focus on for the next book? What do I want people to understand about some new concept and creativity that I've learned? And that time is incredibly valuable. I'm not working on my business. At first, I felt really guilty about it. I could give you the list of all of the negative stuff, right? I bill hourly sometimes, Matt, and I look at that half day and I go, I could have slotted that out. But what it is you got to stop and understand that going all the time is not productive. And when you stop yourself from going all the time, you realize that it's not productive, and you realize that there's new opportunities for revenue and new opportunities to think about things and do the thinking that will enable your business to do better.
Yeah, it's a powerful idea, that, right? Because it's like when there's this, I don't know where it comes from, and maybe it's a uniquely South African thing. I doubt it. But it's this whole thing, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and when you're suffering, you should take those cement pills and harden the fuck up, because you're a man. It's meant to be hard. And I got this mate of mine, he put this video out the other day, and he said, look, when you're feeling down, feel down, and it's okay to feel down. Have a man down day, because they're like, man up. You must man up when things get real. So he's like, no. When you're feeling down, have a man down day, and just disconnect and whatever. Like, so I'm a big fan of David Goggins, and if you know him, where he's like, stay hard, and like I dig that hard mental mindset. You can't negotiate with yourself. So there's that. And then on the other hand, there's this like, well, if I am negotiating with myself, I'm going to have a man down day. And one of the things that I've learned is that's true, and I'd love to share my hypothesis with you, is that when you're a founder, you're not, your role is not to make 1,000 decisions every day. Your job is to make a handful of really high value decisions every day. So if you don't sleep or you have a late night, I don't drink and do anything like that. So, but like I have young kids, so you have bad days. You have days where your brain is it's not at where it usually performs. So if you're not in that mindset, don't make decisions. Don't make big ones anyway. Rather just leave them for the next day. What are your views on that?
I agree 100%. I'm reading a book. I read prolifically. I try to read a book a week, and I highly recommend your listeners read as much as humanly possible. And I'm not talking about fiction. I'm not talking about stories. I'm talking about read as much nonfiction business books as you possibly can. Read my book. Read Emily Balcetis's book, Clearer, Closer, Better. Read, I just finished Dan Crenshaw's book, and it's literally like 200 pages about go, stop complaining, get it done, man up, and woman up, and all that stuff. It's like about just nonstop going. And then I read another book. It was Amy Edmondson's The Fearless what's it called? The Fearless Organization. And then she talks about like taking breaks and pausing and really looking at things and not making decisions when you're under pressure. I think it's an individual thing, Matt. I think you gotta decide what it is that works for you. Absolutely take time out and do those things that need to get done. You can run like Dan Crenshaw recommends, 364 days a year, but you need that one day to kind of recalibrate. And again, it's going to be different for everybody, but I highly recommend that, yes, you take that time, you do that in your schedule so that you can become more creative. I recommend that people do it at least once a day, man, 15 minutes even. Just shut your machine off, get outside, or walk around your office. Even if you're not sitting in front of your computer, it's a big advantage. So I'm completely a fan of having a down day once in a while, not making decisions when you're not ready for it, making key decisions, a handful of times instead of 600 decisions a day, boiling it down to the really important things that you have to decide. 100% for it.
That's good. That's good news. So I want to have a bit of fun with you. So I would love to try and hack a problem that I see. Yep. Like I see you're on LinkedIn. I've just hit you up there. So do you get pitched on LinkedIn a lot?
Every day I get about 5 to 6 a day.
5 to 6 a day. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being really shitty and 10 being really good, where would you rate the pitches typically on LinkedIn's chat?
Probably 1 or 2.
Okay, cool. So that's the problem. So let's you and I creatively problem solve that one, because I think it sucks. I think it sucks so badly. It's probably like even on SME Rocket Fuel, we have a customer discovery engine, so I can get your email and your phone number, and so I don't have to deal with LinkedIn. So anyway, so that's one option. But I mean, let's have some fun here. So if let's just say I'm a professional services business, I'm an agency, right? So I do marketing for businesses, small businesses. How do you pitch yourself creatively so that you get attention? Because I think attention is the battle, and then like retention is the war. And if you don't have attention, you're kind of dead. And we all get ghosted. And I saw this poll the other day, and it was like on LinkedIn, there's loads of polls now. I don't know whether you've seen, but they're like, do you prefer, option 1, do you prefer to be ghosted or do you prefer to get a no? And there were like 1,000 votes or whatever, and 95% of people said that they would prefer a no. And I put this video out ages ago about like, be courteous and just tell people no. Like that's, everyone's trying to sell you, so just say no and like help themselves. But in general, the pitches suck ass, and it's like it's just like it's terrible. So I'd love to get but have a bit of fun with you, like professional services firm, small business customer. I want to sell you some advertising or marketing. How do we creatively do this now?
Yeah, so I would unpack this by saying that I would recommend everybody do an activity, an exercise, because creativity is going to be different no matter what you do. And you've identified the very execution, the very essence of the problem. But I wouldn't start there. What I would do is I would look at your concept, your idea, and your execution. Those are the 3 steps that you can take to become creative no matter what you do, no matter if you're your own business or you're in a career. So the concept is the biggest way to look at your product or service. Okay, so you're a marketing advertising company and you want clients. What is your concept? What is your idea, which is the mid-level view, and what is your execution? Your execution, we've already defined. It's, I go on LinkedIn, I send emails out on LinkedIn, and I try to get customers to come in, right? But what is the idea behind that? Why are you doing marketing?
Well,
Why are you in this business?
I want to do marketing because I believe we're a great storytelling business.
Okay. So your execution then becomes your electron microscope view, right? It is selling to customers on LinkedIn so that, we can get more money. Your idea is the bigger way to view it, which is, I want to tell really good stories. What's the concept behind that? Take it a step up. Let's look at the biggest possible framework that we can for telling stories. Why?
Well, because stories, we're hardwired for stories. Like your story about like how the first person being creative, but in terms of its essence, I was like, okay, and I was with you all the way. It's like we can't. I mean, Netflix, movies, we know we are hardwired for stories. The problem is most customers are not very good at telling their stories. Hence, why their pitch sucks.
Why you though? I mean, stories are told by, movie studios all the way down to influencers on YouTube and Insta. Why you? Why your particular interest in this?
Well, this is actually a real thing now. So we have in our group, we have Digital Kung Fu, which is a storytelling production business. And we chose technology customers because they suck at it more than anybody else. Like most small businesses, like depending on, it's hit and miss. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But technology customers are just like, buy our product, move to the cloud,
Yeah, I agree. They're the worst. But why you and why in this business? I mean, when you were 7 years old, you noticed, hey, my third grade teacher told the best story, then I got it. Why you? Why this business? You could be doing a whole lot of different things, Matt, and making way more money, right? So why are you doing this?
Well, technology, amongst all other things, has the capability to change the world for the best or for the better more than any other category.
Okay, so your concept is really about positive change.
Yeah.
Your idea is about telling stories and your executions on LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get a pen and a paper and write those down because you're getting a free consulting session.
Oh my God.
Right?
This is why I do the show, people.
You got to write them down, not on your machine. You got to do it not on a computer. Right, you got to get a pen and a paper.
I got one here, man. I got one here.
And you got to write it down, dude. Look at this. I write stuff down like you wouldn't believe. I fold my paper in half because it makes me feel less pressure to have to fill it out, right? But however it works for you, right? People like Post-its. I got Post-its everywhere too. So write down the concept, circle it, write down your idea, circle it, and write down your execution, circle it. Now go up to your idea because your execution is, oh, dude, I want to sell LinkedIn. That's fine. But you're already sort of working in the business and not on it. When you look at your idea, take that circle, put a few lines across it, and associate different things that come with storytelling. Go for it, man. Come up with a bunch of ideas. I can do it with you, but they'll be my ideas, right? My association. When you are creative, you allow the brain to literally make associations between like items, and that association is making creativity. Literally on an anatomical level in your brain, it's a concept called neuroplasticity. And when you allow for associations to happen in the concept or the idea or the execution phase, you allow your brain to do what it's done for millennia to keep us alive, right? But now we're doing it. We're using that power to grow our business. So come up with a few associations. If I say storytelling, what comes into your mind? What's the first thing? Go.
Humpty Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty. Great. Circle it. Go. What else?
Stories matter. Is that a thing? Can you do that? I
love it. Dude, I'm totally in. Circle it. Next. What else?
There are only stories.
Great. Circle it. I love it. All right. Let's take like Humpty Dumpty, right? And let's now apply this creativity to the problem. So we have a defined problem of not being able to, sell on LinkedIn because we're ghosted or whatnot. Mm-hmm. Now, that's the very execution. That's the essence of what we're doing. Let's take it up to Humpty Dumpty. What is the concept? What is the story between Humpty Dumpty? What's so interesting about that to you?
Humpty Duck was it's the thing where they couldn't put him back together. So the idea is like, if you go to market with the poor story, you kind of can't put it back together again. You know what I'm saying? So it just costs. It's that same idea, I guess.
I love it. So looking at that, right? What type of execution can we derive from not being able to put it back together again?
Type of execution? Do you mean on LinkedIn or in general?
In general, on LinkedIn, whatever, right? Your solution. I'm sure your listeners right now are like, oh, I got an idea. You could take the fragments and instead of going on LinkedIn, tell fragmented stories that you can't put back together again on Insta, right? So every day release part of the story and then string along a customer to the end and then do a conversion moment. That's a freaking execution, right? That is the execution that you can try tomorrow that came out of creativity, that came out of your brain, not mine, right? My brain, established an execution, but the execution can be anything, right? You can, we could talk for hours, and often I do. I've worked with many corporations where we do this for weeks, and we come up with a crap load of ideas and things can work in the market, things that are like great, but that's we're not ready for that. That's in 5 years, and so on and so forth. When you reframe the question and you start to categorize creativity by association, Matt, you allow for problem-solving opportunity. And so we spent 10 minutes on this, and we were able to come up with an idea or two right away. Now, if you start to spend real time on it and do the real work, because creativity is all about the work, not about this, lightning struck when I took a shower, I'm so creative, I paint. It's not about painting. It's not about that. It's about doing the work, putting in the effort. So right now, I got at least 5 or 6 different ideas that will work on LinkedIn, that will differentiate your pitch from someone else's pitch. And some of it might not even be LinkedIn, right? Maybe the execution is not matching the idea or the concept. Do you like it or do you love it, man?
I love it a lot, man. So I'm actually going to maybe sidestep a little bit and go back to your workshops that you run, because I think this is quite a key point, transition period now in the show. Obviously I was looking at who you work with, and you kind of run workshops for like Microsoft, NFL Network, EA Sports, et cetera, et cetera. Can you let's take Microsoft. So they're our biggest customer. Love to get your view. Like, how do you, people now know like the association, concept, execution, stuff like that you've done with me. How does this change in the enterprise space? Do they suffer with the same sort of, how do I get my story across.com problem? Or is there?
Yes.
They do. Okay.
Big time. It's just on a different scale. It's amazing. Somebody wrote a book a few years ago. Of course, I can't remember the name of the book. But anyway, he talks about how there's I think 19 problems, and that's it. Like every single problem that you could have in your business is a derivative of those 19 things, right? It's always the same. So, or was it 12? I can't remember. But I do remember that it is literally the same problem on different scales, right? We can't communicate. We can't get the product out. People don't understand how to use it. Sales are bad because of exposure. It's the same problem that you have when you're a single entrepreneur and you're an organization like Microsoft or Apple. You're trying to do something. Listen, Apple, I don't know if you know this, has a bunch of new projects and products. Some of them are pretty cool. They're like Alexa type products and that sort of thing, but nobody knows about it. Nobody knows about it because they know about Alexa and the different items that, Amazon has, right? And so they're having trouble getting the word out about these devices, just the same way that you're having trouble getting people to look at a pitch or to understand how your company is different in marketing and advertising than someone else. So the problems are literally the same. The scale is just bigger.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was having a similar thought the other day where it's an old thing. It was like, if you want to, let's go back to the LinkedIn thing now. So what does somebody want? They're in a B2B space. They either want to reduce cost or make money. And if you just took those two things and you said, hey, we do this thing that helps you through storytelling, whatever helps you to make money and reduce cost through this, new approach or whatever, that's the kind of thing that gets people's attention. They don't care about the features. They don't care about the name of the product. It's just like, and then by the way, that's what you're saying. It's that universal thing. So those could be 2 of the 19 things that are consistent. The other one is they want to connect, right? So we reduce cost, help you make money, and connect to customers in meaningful ways. Okay, you got me. Let's have that coffee. You know what I'm saying? And it's a powerful idea that, I wanted to maybe get your view on, in the B2B space with your, creator mindset in play, in your point of view, or from your point of view, what would you say are those buckets? Reduce cost, make sale, connect to customers. What in your world, what does that look like? If you could maybe share 2 or 3 truisms.
In my own business?
Yeah.
So my business is really built on, if I looked at the concept, idea, and execution of my business, it changes all the time. But people are too afraid of taking ideas and that are crazy and creative and wonderful and executing them. Why? Because, you went to college for, 16 years or however long to get your PhD and your degree. You're not going to be a scientist at, NASA or, SpaceX and go, well, we should do it a different way because it's a crazy idea. And you're going to protect yourself and your career because you're earning money and you're paying off your student loans and all of this stuff. Humanity is at a loss when individuals don't take risks in order to become more creative. We lose that cancer cure. We lose all of that stuff. So my business is set up in a very altruistic way because my business is built on education and giving stuff away, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with giving away copies of my book. I've given away hundreds of them just because people like them. I go, cool, here, take a book, read it. And so mine is not really defined in margins and stuff like that. I make most of my revenue on speaking, most of my revenue on associations and workshops and stuff like that. And generally, it is a cost benefit sort of thing where somebody goes, oh, we can teach our staff to solve problems in a different way, then that's a benefit to us. I would give away all of this stuff for free if I could, but that's really what my business relies on. I have staff and, I have to make payroll and I have very real concerns there. But because I'm so in touch with the concept of my organization, everything that I do answers back to that. Am I giving value? Are things given away for free? I've been with you an hour now, and I charge a lot per hour if I'm consulting with a different company, but I'm glad. I want to be here because I want this time to be spent on sparking a creative idea for somebody. Just like you, who's going, nobody's looking at they're ghosting me on LinkedIn. What do I do? Well, it's my job to help somebody expand that vision out so that they can, when the accordion comes back in, they can be in a slightly different position to allow creativity and their own creativity to take hold. So for me, it's really a cost benefit analysis, and it's really an altruistic view. I'm almost a nonprofit, to be honest with you. What I make, I spend. I've been very lucky in my career with other businesses to do incredibly well. Now it's time for me to give back.
Yeah, that's amazing. Tell me, just on the book side of things, what's your favorite book of all time? What is one book that you would say? I know it's a tough one, but I'm about the tough questions, Nir.
Yeah, I could tell. Oh man, I don't know. I could tell you that I read Ron Chernow's books, Hamilton and Grant, and I cannot get enough of them. I think they're so good. They're about, the U.S. Government and how things were set up. Amazing stuff. I like their books very much, his books very much. And again, I read a lot of business books, so it's hard to pinpoint one.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, what book are you reading now?
I am reading Forgetting, the Dr. Small's book. I forgot what its first name is.
Dr. Small. Is that an actual doctor?
Scott Small.
Scott Small.
His name is Scott Small. It's a book called Forgetting, about the value of how forgetting actually helps creativity, helps memory, and is a key facet of life. It's incredible how most people talk about not forgetting, right? You watch TV or whatever, and on Insta I get like, vitamins that increase memory capacity and all this stuff. People are like, yeah, I want to increase my memory. And this guy here is, some fancy neuroscientist writing about how it's better to forget. These are the things that, we need to be doing. We need to look at things in a different way. We can't consume, mainstream media and go, oh, they're telling us everything we need to know. You need to get out there and do the work, right? You need to read contradicting viewpoints and then make up your own mind. I think, being educated in I'm not talking about formal school here. I'm talking about reading and being exposed to different materials and different viewpoints. Incredibly important to do well in your business.
Amazing. Nir, let's wrap this up. I know you've got another meeting to get to, but why do you do what you do? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
I think it's just helping people. I really enjoy helping people. I've been fortunate enough in life to be at a point where I can give a lot away. And I want people to understand that if we're creative, then the world gets better. And it's kind of selfish too, because I want the world better. I'm sick of this coffee machine where you put in the thing and, the coffee and you close it and you fill it with water and you hit start. I'm sick of it. There's somebody who engineered and designed like a coffee machine that would be, like instant. The water would be preheated and all of these amazing things. And then the cream would be added just right every morning. And, we don't have that. Why? Because that guy working at Keurig is like, oh, it's a stupid idea. Or, oh, I don't want to lose my job. Or, oh, it's too out there and this and that. And so I want a world where people take creative risk therein by making our world a better place.
Amazing. Nir, thank you so much for your time on the Matt Brown Show. Guys, thank you so much for checking out this interview. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, join the SME Rocket Fuel community at SMERocketFuel.com. Access new markets, funding, and a community. Thanks, everybody. See you again soon. Hey there, guys. At SMERocketFuel.com, you can access new markets and your ideal customers within seconds from a globally compliant data engine built specifically to help your business grow faster than ever before. And the best part, it's free. Yes, that's right. It is free. Head on over to SMERocketFuel.com and sign up for free today so that you can start accelerating your business growth faster than ever before, wherever you are, with SMERocketFuel.com.